Honda Pilot, proud partner and official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays.
Welcome to Rogers Center, and this has been a terrific series. The Indians and the Blue Jays have split the first 2 games of this 3-game series, and for the season, they have split all 6 games played so far. Terry Francona's ball club has put up a fight against the Blue Jays in these first 2 games. They have had an infusion of youth, and it has served them very well. Take a look at the lineup tonight. Right at the top of the order is Jason Kipnis, and he's had a terrific season. Kipnis this season against the AL, he's batting .344, 12 extra base hits. He's driven in 8 against the East. And then down in the 3rd spot, one of the best hitters in the game, Michael Brantley, the left fielder. Over his last 9 games, he has 14 hits, including 5 extra base hits and 6 RBIs. R.A. Dickey's in a tough assignment tonight against this Indians ball club.
It's a very good Indians ball club. They really peck at that ball and really make it travel deep. 27 starts for R.A. Dickey, trying to even that record now at 10-10 with a .425 earned run average. Gets ready for that 28th start. He won that 9th game last time out. He just couldn't finish the 7th inning. He gave a couple of home runs to the Detroit Tigers. Anthony Ghost knocked one out on him and then had to knock him out of the ball game. But overall, he pitched a good game in that one, won that one, and tonight faces Cleveland, where he has pitched exactly 6 innings in each of his last 4 starts against the Indians.
Defensively, the Blue Jays have played great defense, and the outfield has improved with the addition of Ben Revere in left. Kevin Pillar and Jose Bautista center and right, respectively. Josh Donaldson's at 3rd. Tulowitzki and Goins up the middle. The great glove of Justin Smoke is at first base, and Josh Tolley back from the minor leagues to catch the knuckleballer R.A. Dickey.
Just in time to catch R.A. Dickey. Just got recalled today from the Bluefield team. This is his 3rd stint with the ball club and his 11th start at catcher this season for Toronto.
Now, Tolley and Dickey have been a very effective battery over the years. They are reunited here tonight. R.A. Dickey is making his first start against Cleveland since May 13th last year. So it's been a while since they have faced Dickey. Tolley gives him the sign. Here's the first pitch of the game. They went with the fastball. Kipnis 0 for 5 in last night's game. He's 1 for 9 in the series, and there's another fastball. Mixing it up early.
You know what? It certainly makes a lot of sense, I think, against the Cleveland Indians. They're a team with not a lot of power, but they have good at-bats. And it's a team that really likes to let that ball travel deep, and they use the whole field. This is going to be a tough outing, I think, for R.A.
Kipnis had a double in his first at bat in this series and scored first run of the ball game. That was against David Price on Monday night. There's the 3-1 pitch. Fly ball to center. Pillar's got it in his sights and makes the catch. 1 down.
Over the last 8 home starts here for R.A. Dickey, you can see he is really putting it together. Tonight the roof is closed, so there's no wind to deal with. But overall, his whip has been good. His opponent's batting average has been good. And he's beaten some pretty good teams. The Yankees, and the Angels, Oakland. He's pitched some good ball games here at Rogers Center over his last 8.
This is the rookie, Francisco Lindor, getting his first look at Dickey. Boy, he's a good-looking young player. 309 average for Lindor, the shortstop. Lindor is 2 for 9. Boy, he had a big hit in last night's game. And a 1-out double in the 8th inning. And dropped a terrific slide on Ryan Goins. A 3-pitch strikeout for Dickey. 2 down.
What you want to get if you're R.A. Dickey, you want to get some wild swings. And he strikes out Lindor. This is last night's ball game. Last night, Michael Brantley with the home run off of Estrada.
So Michael Brantley, that was his 12th home run of the season. That was in the 4th inning. Dickey again misses with the fastball.
I was talking about if you're R.A. Dickey, you want to get some of those wild swings like that, guys with long swings, and they swing and they're very aggressive. You're not going to get that from Michael Brantley. Look at how quiet he is at the plate. Hardly any movement. Those are the kind of guys that have success against knuckleball pitchers.
Yeah, he's very quiet, very still, and there's a little bit of Ryan Goins in his approach. The way Goins is tapping his bat to his shoulder. Brantley does that just as he gets set. Pulls that one foul. Dickey's ahead 1-2. R.A. Dickey over his last 9 starts has gone 6-0. What a turnaround for Dickey. Now he's a game from going 500. He's 9-10 for the season. Fly ball. Ben Revere in left. Good start for R.A. Dickey. 3 up, 3 down in the top of the first. Last night 5-3 despite being out hit 9-6 by Cleveland. Ryan Goins with the walk-off home run. Revere, Donaldson, Bautista, then Edwin Encarnacion. What a homestand he's had. 8 for 16 on the homestand and 4 home runs and 12 RBIs. That's just in 5 games, folks. He's been really hot. How about Ryan Goins? Since August 2nd, Goins is at .324 with 6 extra base hits and 11 RBIs, and he's walking more than he ever has in his career.
And that's why that on-base percentage is up. This is Trevor Bauer. He's 24 years old, getting ready for his 27th start of the season. He's been a little bit inconsistent, but last time out he was very good. Beat the Los Angeles Angels, held them to just 1 run in 8 innings. He has not allowed a home run in a season-high 3 consecutive starts, something to watch tonight against the Blue Jays. Second time that he has faced Toronto this season.
This is Ben Revere. He takes a first pitch strike. Bauer faced the Blue Jays without Ben Revere. At that time, Revere, of course, was in Philadelphia. The game was May 3rd in Cleveland, and Revere is going to get another base hit. Boy, he's got a magic wand working right now. Leadoff single for the Blue Jays. Defensively, the Indians have a lot of good athletes on their field now. Brantley, Almonte, and Chisenhall from left to right in the outfield. Chris Johnson gets his first start at third base. Lindor and Kipnis up the middle. Jerry Sands making his 5th start at first base. And Yan Gomes starts for the 3rd straight game here.
Terry Francona wanted to mix it up a little bit, so Sands, who's had some time in the outfield, will get that 5th start at first base. Just another right-handed batter in the lineup for the Indians.
Josh Donaldson. There goes Revere, not wasting any time, and he's in there safely. For Revere, his 2nd stolen base. Terry Francona wants to have a look at the video replay. He's asked the umpire, Andy Fletcher, at home plate to give him a minute.
Give me a second to take a look at that. It looked like Revere got the hand in there before he was tagged. Great jump. Yan Gomes throws really well. He's throwing out 31% of the runners with the ball bounced, picked by Kipnis, and by the time you can get that glove back down, you can see right away that Revere is safe.
So right off the bat, the Blue Jays have a runner in scoring position. Don't expect Donaldson to bunt tonight. He got a lot of grief from his teammates, didn't he?
Yeah, shock, I guess, would be the word to describe it. With runners on first and third, he was going to try and push a bunt up the right side of the infield.
He bunted in the third inning and caught everybody by surprise.
Even his manager.
One and two now to Donaldson. Nobody out. Ben Revere with a leadoff single and a stolen base. Great numbers for Donaldson, obviously, with runners in scoring position. He leads the majors in RBIs. 108. Donaldson with 2 strikes really cuts his swing down.
Had a good pitch hit right there. Off-speed pitch, but he read it out of his hands. Trying to push that ball the other way. Outfield a little bit deeper now for Josh Donaldson than what we saw at the beginning of this series. Look at the center fielder Almonte, how deep he's playing now with Donaldson at the plate. Hit a triple over his head here a couple of nights ago.
Two balls and 2 strikes. The Blue Jays have scored 82 runs in the first inning, and they have oftentimes jumped on the starter quickly.
Base hit.
Revere's going to come in to score. Boy, Donaldson just feathered that ball inside the bag at first as if he knew it was coming.
You know, that's how you drive in 100 runs during the season with those good at-bats, especially with runners in scoring position. Just take that ball the other way, let it get deep and let it travel. Watch, he doesn't make a move where he goes out and gets it. He lets the ball come to him, and then with that short swing, he's able to just pounce that ball to the right side. Sands is way off the line, so he has no chance to get that single to right field, and the Blue Jays jump ahead quickly.
Boy, is that a beautiful swing or what? 2-strike approach, and he just hits it inside the first base bag to cash in Ben Revere. 109 ribbies. Jose Bautista. Bautista just 1 for 3. We mentioned that the Blue Jays saw Trevor Bauer in Cleveland on the 3rd of May. They knocked him out early.
He ended up with a no decision in that game, a game that the Indians won 10-7 back in May, the first part of May.
Blue Jays scored 6 runs in the top of the 4th. And they had a 6-2 lead, but then the Indians had a 6-run inning in the bottom of the 5th. Bautista went around. Ball on the strike. In that game, Bauer gave up a grand slam to Devin Travis. 6 runs on 5 hits in the 4th inning. Blue Jays had a big inning. Slow breaking ball. Now 1-2.
Got a lot of tricks. He's got a good arm, Trevor Bauer. Good fastball. That was the slow curveball right there that really took Jose Bautista by surprise.
threw that comeback fastball, but it missed off the plate outside. Bauer's from California, Santa Clarita, California, the San Fernando Valley. Went to Hart High School, which is a very good athletic high school. Then he eventually went to UCLA. So he's been studying pitching a long time. Between his freshman year and his sophomore year in high school, he went down to Houston to a biomechanics baseball clinic. Stayed there for 3 days. He's worked on his pitching a long time.
That has all to do with the fundamentals and his mechanics of pitching, so he doesn't hurt his arm. He's got a good arm.
3-2 to Bautista. Donaldson at first. There he goes. Ball 4. Well, Bauer's got himself in a jam here in the first.
Designated hitter number 10, Edwin Encarnacion.
Edwin Encarnacion, the American League Player of the Month. Second time in his career he's won that award. He led the major leagues with a .407 average, slugged .919. A terrific month for Encarnacion, and he was recognized for his efforts.
I don't care how you start, what your numbers are in April and May. Just look to the back of a guy's baseball card, and you know by the end of the season, if you're a 30 home run guy and a 100 RBI guy, chances are you're going to be there. And Edwin is right on track once again.
30-92 for Encarnacion. Still nobody out. Off the plate outside. Edwin had an infield single against Bauer back in May. Well, I tell you what, these guys are locked in. They are not chasing anything unless it's right where they want it. They're not even offering at it.
And that goes back to their game plan and studying the film and having an idea what you want to hit when you are batting against Trevor Bauer. Edwin is locked in on a certain pitch, and he's not going to swing until he gets it.
Just missed that one. High fly ball to left. Brantley coming in. Makes the catch. That's the first out of the inning. That brings Troy Tulowitzki to the plate. Tulowitzki dropped down into that 5th spot. Terry Francona was acknowledging the great offense of this ball club, and then he said it in the same breath. And Tulowitzki's not even Tulowitzki yet.
He hasn't heated up like we have seen him in the past. 16 home runs and 64 driven in. I believe he's only driven in 4 runs since he has come over to the Blue Jays. Starting to see a little bit more contact, a little bit more line drives off the bat of Tulowitzki the last couple of games.
He had a great round of BP this afternoon. He was hitting line drives all over the ballpark. 1 out. First pitch breaking ball in there for a strike. Josh Donaldson with an RBI single has given the Blue Jays a 1-0 lead here in the first. Tulowitzki behind 0-2. Tulowitzki spent 10 years with the Rockies. Came up in 2006, his first full season, 2007. He had 24 home runs and drove in 99 runs and finished 2nd in the Rookie of the Year voting. And oh, by the way, the Rockies went to the World Series.
They had a hot September, didn't they? Playing just like the Blue Jays are playing right now.
Breaking ball in the dirt. They had such a hot September they had to have a playoff game. It was a game 163 with San Diego, and it finished in dramatic fashion. Colorado won on a play at the plate. Matt Holliday with the head-first slide to score the winning run in extra innings. One and two to Tulowitzki. And the ball in the dirt. Trevor Bauer has thrown 21 pitches here in the first inning, and it's not unusual for the Blue Jays top of the order to work over a starter early.
Make sure he gets that breaking ball over, and he hasn't done that yet consistently here in the first inning. Got plenty of arms in that pen. They've got 8 right-handed relievers to work with, the Indians.
Popped back out of play. Well, the Indians, they begin play tonight 3 games under 500, but they've won 7 of their last 10. And they have aspirations of getting into that second wild card spot. At the moment, they are 5 games back. They have 3 teams to pass: the Rays, the Angels, and the Twins. Currently, the Yankees and the Rangers have those first 2 wild card spots.
But still just 5 games back, and they got off to a brutal start this year, but they've been playing much better.
Base hit. Donaldson's getting waved around third. He's coming in to score. Tulowitzki with a 2-strike RBI single.
Down in his more familiar RBI slot, they're going to throw him breaking balls. And he's a very good breaking ball hitter. Stay back on that one. He's going to plate Josh Donaldson with that base hit. Tulo's starting to make a little bit more consistent, solid contact. There's the overhand curveball. The eyes light up, and he sends that one right back through the middle. That is a good sign. See how his hands stay back on that one, and that's going to score Donaldson without a throw. It's going to bring the pitching coach out now to talk to Trevor Bauer. After 23 pitches so far, he's only got 1 out.
Yeah, and this is more of a breather for the pitcher than anything else. Not a whole lot you can say to him right now, just trying to have him catch his breath. So Donaldson comes in to score. He's now scored 103 runs and driven in 109. What a season he's put together. Kyle Crockett loosening up here in the first. I mentioned Francona and his desires to take a run at that wild card berth. They have an off day tomorrow, so they can unload the bullpen.
And he can't wait around. They've got 9 relievers, 8 of them right-handed. That's the only left-hander. Now, after that talk right there, if I'm Justin Smoke, I'm looking for that fastball right here. First pitch. See if you can knock one out of the ballpark.
Fastball in tight. Smoke batting .218 for the season. He's been productive. 45 RBIs and just 229 at bats. 2-0. Trevor Bauer very close to an early exit. Ground ball. Kipnis goes to second for 1. They return throw, not in time. Kipnis made a nice play to take a hit away from Smoke. They get the lead runner at second, and they're checking with their video room whether or not they want to challenge the call at first.
Second time this inning that they're going to check with that video room and decide what they want to do. That's Brad Mills, the bench coach, trying to get an idea. Kipnis makes a heck of a play, number 1, to get to it, then throws a strike, and Lindor is going to just finish it off with a throw to first base. Jerry Sands, we told you, it's just his 5th start over there at first base. It looked like that foot might have come off just a little bit. Watch him as he stretches for that ball. That foot comes off of the base just a little bit.
Sure did.
It's called safe.
He lost contact with the bag, and you can see the umpire indicating that. That swipe move by the umpire indicates the first baseman lost contact with the bag. So it's academic as to whether or not the throw beat him because he was off first base.
That's what it looked like to me when Sands stretched for the ball, that the foot came off of the bag just a little bit, and that's why Clint Fagan called him safe. One more time, watch the stretch from Sands, and just keep an eye on that right foot. He's off the base. He should be safe. And then the umpire, and you see that sign right there, off the bag.
So in an effort to cheat, if you will, we have seen first basemen do that very well. I mean, Justin Smoak's one of the best at it. But you got to be a little more discreet when you lose contact with that bag.
You know, if you're not used to playing it, and it's only his 5th game over there this season, you have to have a feel of where that bag is and stay with your spikes engaged, so when you stretch, you stay on that bag. One more time, watch the right foot. And when it goes into the glove, his foot's off the bag.
You know what? And you played first a lot. First base doesn't get the respect it deserves. It's a tough position to play. Justin Smoak, one of the best in baseball, playing first base, but there are a lot of things you have to think about and be able to do over that first base bag.
You know, the one thing that you can do as a fielder is you drag your foot as you're stretching for that throw. You drag that back foot. It helps you to stay on that bag just a little bit longer.
Now, this is taking a long time for the crew in New York to decipher the video. Bauer getting a little bit of a break. He has thrown 26 pitches. He's given up 2 runs already on 3 hits and a walk. Now they appear to have the decision. And indeed, the call on the field is upheld. So Smoak's at first, Bautista's at third for Kevin Pillar. And with everything else that's going on, the roof is starting to open up. There were thunderstorms in the area at the start of this game, and now apparently they have cleared out. So we are going to have open air baseball here shortly. So Kevin Pillar will step in. Florida sacked fly in the 7th last night. He was 0 for 3 overall. Where you sit on the bench and watch Bauer struggle with his control, it gives you a lot of confidence to lay off those borderline pitches.
And lay off the breaking ball. Make him use that fastball. He likes his fastball. He's going to throw that 55% of the time, so you can look for it.
Check swing, foul, chip right at home plate. Boy, look at the intensity on that bench. Everybody focused on Trevor Bauer. Pillar pops it into the seats about 6 rows back. What a season Pillar has put together.
Coming into this year, there were some questions if he was going to be able to hit consistently in the major leagues. I think he has answered that. 9 home runs, 45 RBIs, 17 stolen bases. He's also scored 64.
Down at first base, Fagan calls Pillar for the swing. That'll close out the first inning, but Blue Jays started quickly. Ben Revere Singles and steals second. Sets the table for Josh Donaldson. A two-strike approach. He singles inside the bag at first to chase home Ben Revere. First of two. First inning runs.
Home run, and as you know, there's always the celebration after he hits it, but watch Gianna Navarro on the right of your screen and Kevin Pillar. What you did not notice is that there's a bit of a competition on catching the flying helmet. It's something Navarro did a lot when he was with the Tampa Bay Rays, and last night for the first time Pillar decided he was going to get involved. He boxes Navarro out, and I asked both of them what was going on, why the competition. Pillar says, I look at it like catching a bouquet at a wedding, guys. Hopefully I will be the next one to hit a walk-off home run.
That's pretty awesome, and I tell you what, this has really become a team overnight, if you will, with all the new additions. And today I noticed during the stretching they were bunched up into about a 20-foot circle as they were stretching, getting ready for the start of this ball game. It's been a terrific clubhouse.
You know they're a close team when you can get on each other, and they're having a lot of fun around the batting cage, and boy, were they doing that today.
Santana pulls it to short. Tulowitzki throws a strike to Smoke. One down. I tell you what, it reminded me of some of the old teams I played on where guys were ripping on each other. I mean, every single guy. Nobody was spared.
But that's the closeness of a team, isn't it? Where you're like brothers. And you just get on each other. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and you know, they talk about bad plays. They talk, what kind of throw was that last night? How about that bunt? You already had a base hit, now you're bunting, Josh. What are you thinking about? It was terrific. This is Yan Gomes. People were surprised by Gomes' 2 home runs last night, but they shouldn't be. He's a good hitter. He's been injured this season. It's this ball to Tulowitzki again. 2 ground ball outs to start the second. Starting pitchers have been terrific. They've been just as good as the offense and the defense. And David Price was out here today with a bat, throwing up baseballs and hitting them into the batting cage like you did when you were a kid.
Yeah, it was funny. He was hitting off the tee in the cage, and then hit, I don't know, 10 or 15 of them. And then went out and picked all the balls up and brought him back in, and then hit him into the cage. There he is hitting off the cage, or off the tee in the cage, and then he goes and gets him, then comes back and then hit him into the netting. I mean, it was hilarious.
Smoke goes to his left. Dickey is there in time. R.A. Dickey, what a second half of the season he's had. 6 pitches, 3 up, 3 down.
But Trevor Bauer has an unconventional warm-up routine on game days that takes long tossing to a whole new level in an attempt to really build up his arm strength. Now, Indians bullpen catcher Armando Camacaro told me that what he likes to do is start throwing just breaking balls from 30 feet away and then 60 feet away. After that, he'll throw nothing but fastballs until he's almost 400 feet away. Now, clubs generally limit their pitchers to throw at a max distance of 120 feet for about 10 minutes. Bauer's sessions can last up to 30 minutes in length. So when he throws from the mound, Buck, you'll see that he just tries to repeat that motion used to throw that baseball a very long way.
He has an unorthodox approach, but he's just 24 years old. He was at UCLA as a 17-year-old. He pitched there as a freshman and pitched very well. He did a terrific job, and he's always studied the mechanics. His father was a scientist, and he always encouraged Trevor to look at pitching like a scientific experiment.
Well, it doesn't hurt to be blessed with a great arm, and he is blessed with a great arm.
Here is Orion Goins, the hero of last night's game. Goins hit a 2-run walk-off home run in the bottom of the 10th to make the Blue Jays a winner. The 6th walk-off win for the Blue Jays of the season.
You know, he's also second baseman, right? The last second baseman for the Blue Jays hit a walk-off home run. He's in the ballpark, too.
John McDonald, there he is. He's doing radio color for the Cleveland Indians radio network. Serves as an infield instructor and then goes in and goes upstairs, and he's having a talk, and you can bet they're talking about his walk-off home run.
Yes. Johnny Mac's walk-off home run, the last one to do that for Blue Jays second baseman.
Ryan Goins batting .246 now. He has played in 100 games. He's almost like Kevin Pillar, probably played more than anybody ever expected, but now they are both everyday players.
And he's producing. He's having great at-bats. That's the byproduct of those great at-bats, the good numbers offensively. Now we'll start to watch and see if pitchers pick up on that, and maybe they change their approach a little bit. Start pitching them a little bit tougher. Just another good at-bat in this Blue Jays lineup.
2 balls and 2 strikes. Hanging tough. You know, there are a lot of good hitters in this lineup, a lot of good hitters on this roster. And I talked to Eric Owens today about their projects, you know, and Goins has been a project, Pillar's been a project. And I said, you must be pleased with the way those two have handled their first full season. He said, we're thrilled. This time Goins strikes out. Looked like a backup breaking ball. 1 down. Let's check in with Jamie Campbell. Jamie, not only did he use Andrew Miller, but he used Ellen Betances in that game as well. Josh Tolley gets a base hit. A 1-out single for Tolley. Tolley was sent back to the minor leagues after Dickey's last start. They needed the roster spot to add Drew Hutchison into the rotation. So he was sent all the way back to Bluefield, to Rookie League. And it was a bookkeeping situation more than anything because the Bluefield season ended yesterday. And that allowed the Blue Jays to call up Josh Tolley.
It's clever move by the Blue Jays to put him down there, and when their season's back over, he's back with this ball club. Otherwise, he would have to spend a few more days in the minor leagues.
Ben Revere singled and scored in the first. Ben Revere is on fire. Here's a man that led the National League in hits last year. He's got that stroke back. 2 for 2 already.
The important thing is making sure with all that pre-movement, make sure that you get that bat back up and then get it out in front. And he's got that short swing, and he does just that. Fastball up and away from them. See all the movement and bending and moving, but he's got that bat going, and he catches it out in front for another base hit. Blue Jays get a couple runners on, and that's going to bring the pitching coach out once again and get that bullpen moving around down in right field.
Mickey Callaway back to the mound, and while we have a moment, we thought we'd show you the AL East standings. The Yankees beat the Red Sox, so the Blue Jays now a full game ahead of New York. The Blue Jays and the Yankees will have tomorrow off. Tampa Bay will go into Yankee Stadium starting Friday night. They will play a 3-game series, while the Orioles will come here for a 3-game series, also starting Friday night. On Friday night, Luis Severino will go up against Jake Odorizzi for Tampa Bay. That'll be in the Bronx. And on Saturday, a couple of Nathans. Nathan Carnes for Tampa Bay, Nathan Eovaldi for the Yankees, and then Archer and Nova on Sunday. Chris Archer's 5-0 against the Yankees for his career. Mount Crushmore makes its home right here at Rogers Center. And here's one of the principals. Slow breaking ball, Donaldson way out in front. Toley singled to left, Revere singled to center. Runners at first and second, 1 out for Donaldson. Pat, you watch Josh take batting practice every single day. He has a terrific routine of preparation.
He loves to come out on the field and hit every day, even when there's optional hitting. Josh Donaldson's out here working on his stroke. Hit that ball to right field. A lot like what he did in his first at bat, shooting that ball to right field for a base hit. We saw him yesterday turn around and hit some left-handed during batting practice also.
You and I have both seen athletes like Josh Donaldson in the past. They can do everything. There you see Jeff Manship loosening up. Kyle Crockett was up in the first. Now it's Manship, the right-hander.
I'll tell you, Josh has got a pretty nice left-handed stroke. I mean, it looks a lot like his right-handed stroke, and that one's pretty good.
Swing and a drive. High and deep to left field. Brantley's not going to get it. It's off the wall. Toley's in to score. Ben Revere's being waved. Here's the throw to the plate, and he's safe. Donaldson, 2 more RBIs.
You know, I was watching Ben Revere on that. He's got Josh Toley running in front of him, so he doesn't want to run into an out. Revere, the faster runner than Toley. So he's got to watch his third base coach. He's got to pick him up. He's got to give him a good effort on that extra base hit. But he's thinking about scoring all the way, but is wary that they might get held up at third base. First the pitch. It's another breaking ball, and Donaldson sends it soaring to left field. Out of the reach of Brantley. And there's Toley right there. Now he's got to pick up his third base coach, and Luis Rivera says, bring it on. And he scores right behind Toley with the game's 4th run. Watch him one more time. He had his eye on him the whole time. And now it's off the wall. You see him hesitate just a little bit around second base, and then he kicks it into gear and gets Donaldson a couple more RBIs.
Well, the Blue Jays knock out the starter Trevor Bauer. He's out after an inning and a third. The Blue Jays have a 4-0 lead. Jeff Manship into the game to face Bautista. pitched in last night's game. He had a clean inning with a couple of strikeouts. He came in and struck out Ben Revere and Josh Donaldson, then got Bautista to ground out to short. So he will face Bautista for a second straight night.
He was signed as a minor league free agent back in December. Joined this organization, spent half the season in AAA with Columbus. He was promoted on June the 18th. And he's come in and pitched out of that bullpen for the Indians since. Good fastball and a nice little slider. That's what he will feature against Bautista.
Jose walked in the first. Bautista has a home run against Manship. Bautista and Donaldson have really done a number driving in runs here at Rogers Center. Donaldson has 3 RBIs tonight. He's up to 111. Way outside Bautista with a 3-0 count. They just keep coming. Trevor Bauer knocked out for a second straight start against the Blue Jays.
Just 4 1/3 last time, an inning and a third this time.
Bautista walks for a second time tonight. Edwin Encarnacion had his 26-game hit streak snapped last night. Got an extra at bat. In the bottom of the ninth, we popped out. OPS leader since the All-Star break. There they are, 1-2. Encarnacion and Donaldson. And what a tough combination. Cabrera, Jackie Bradley Jr., and David Ortiz round out the top 5.
Some big power hitters in the American League in that little grouping right there. Right at the top, Donaldson and Encarnacion. They have had some great at-bats.
Manship misses with the first pitch. Two 2-0. Yan Gomes with a quick trip to the mound.
Manship is usually right around the plate. That walk to Bautista, that's his first walk in 8 games. And it comes with a runner on base, and that runner, Donaldson, that's Trevor Bauer's responsibility. Trying to save his starter a run.
2-0, 1 out. Blue Jays have scored 2 in the first and 2 here in the second. Take a 4-0 lead. Right on the outside corner. Three and 1. Boy, the Blue Jay hitters have had an awful lot of hitter counts lately. Tulowitzki had an RBI single in the first.
Tell you, Terry Francona looks like a prophet. He said, my pitchers, they cannot nibble against the Blue Jays, or they're going to fall behind, and then they got to come to those big hitters and then watch out. The ball ends up in the seats.
Another walk. Back-to-back walks issued by Manship.
Shortstop number 2, Troy Tulowitzki.
Tulowitzki with an RBI single back in the first. Tulowitzki's got the bases loaded. He's a .392 career hitter with the bases loaded. Got a couple of grand slams.
A couple of walks right in front of him. Look for one right down Broadway here.
That's pretty close to Broadway.
That's real close to Broadway.
This one to get a look at manship. Takes a first pitch strike. There are the numbers we mentioned. Tulowitzki had a 21-game hit streak in his time with Colorado this season. That's the second longest this season to the Encarnacion 26-gamer. Oh, 0-2. Popped it up behind second. Kipnis out to make the catch. Here comes Donaldson home, and he's safe. Oh, what a play by Donaldson. Kipnis was backpedaling, and he gets an RBI for Tulowitzki.
Tell you, they talk about a guy being a risk taker but a playmaker. Here it is right here. Ball is caught. He catches Kipnis on his backside, and he is called safe at the plate with this dive. Yan Gomes has to go up to try and get the ball. Looks like he missed it, and it looks like Donaldson got the plate.
He got home plate with his left hand. What an effort by Donaldson.
And Troy Tulowitzki is going to appreciate that. Clearly missed him. Clearly missed him on that shot right there, as he avoids the tag and touches home plate for the 5th run.
It gets Tulowitzki an RBI, and it saves him an at-bat just by extra effort from the third baseman Donaldson.
You know, I thought that he would just go out there and bluff a throw. So I was watching, and he took off, and he just kept coming. He made his mind up that he was going to test the arm of Jason Kipnis, and it worked out.
How many sac flies to second have you put in your scorebook?
I didn't know how to score it. Should I say, is that a fly ball or a pop-up? It's a pop-up to the second baseman, and he scored a run for his team. He's a playmaker.
2 balls and a strike to Justin Smoke. Now it's 2-2.
That run will be charged to Trevor Bauer, and you can finish off his night. An inning and a third, 5 earned runs on 6 hits.
Bauer threw just 44 pitches. Smoke strikes out, but the Blue Jays put up 3 runs in the bottom of the second. And how about the night for Josh Donaldson? He's 2 for 2. He's driven in 3 runs. He scored 2 runs, and he gets a sacrifice fly for Troy Tulowitzki with a terrific slide. 5-0 Blue Jays.
Presented by the all-new 2016 Honda Pilot, proud partner and official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays.
Beautiful evening in Toronto, and Josh Donaldson, what a great start to his night. And he is having a ball. He has gone 2 for 2. He scored 2 runs and driven in 3. And we're in the 3rd inning. This is Chris Johnson, the 3rd baseman for the Indians. Dickey's using a lot of fastballs early in this game.
Makes a lot of sense against the Cleveland Indians. They hit a lot of doubles. They take a lot of walks.
Bouncing ball. Donaldson to his left. Takes his time. 1 out. Check in with Jamie Campbell. Boy, Baltimore has really fallen upon hard times. Kevin Gausman out of the game after 2 1/3. He gives up 4 runs on 8 hits, and he's out of the ball game. Baltimore will be here Friday night to start a 3-game series. That'll wrap up this homestand for the Blue Jays. Baltimore 63 and 69. They've lost 6 straight and lost 9 of their last 10.
It's happening fast, and they're giving up a lot of runs. We lost last night 11-2.
Abraham Almonte, he's behind 0-2. We mentioned R.A. Dickey, and he got off to a rough start. Dickey was 3-10 through his first 18 starts. He was giving up home runs, 17 home runs in those 18 starts. It was a rough beginning to his year, but boy, has he turned it around.
Couldn't get the ball in the strike zone consistently. He was really pulling off and rotating when he was delivering the ball. Nice.
Strike 3. He used the fastball and catches Almonte flat-footed.
So R.A. made a couple of adjustments. He said his head is very important. I got to keep my head still. And now he's been in the strike zone. And tonight he uses that comeback fastball to freeze Almonte. 2nd strikeout of the night for R.A. Dickey. This is what you have to do when guys are looking for that knuckleball. You can throw that 83-mile-an-hour fastball and lock them up.
Now, and the Indians don't have a lot of power. Comes with a fastball again. This is the formula that Dickey used in his Cy Young season in 2012 while pitching for the Mets. He used a lot of fastballs. He would use the fastball to get ahead. Then he would throw the knuckleball and get 2 strikes, and then it was 50-50.
He'd throw that harder knuckleball to finish off the at-bats.
Indians looking for their first base runner, and Dickey throws another fastball strike. 2-2.
Tell you what, if I'm facing a knuckleball pitcher and he throws me 2 fastballs, I'm swinging at one of them. I mean, that's what you want, don't you?
There's the knuckleball fouled out of play.
Get a chance for a knuckleball pitcher throwing you fastballs. You got to be ready to hit him.
There's a good knuckleball. Big hop for Tulowitzki. 9 up, 9 down for R.A. Dickey. 5-0 Blue Jays.
To the action with breaking news, scores, stats, and video highlights. Plus, watch the Blue Jays live from anywhere. The great thing about that app, Buck, is you can watch that slide from Josh Donaldson over and over again and be amazed every time you see it.
It was a terrific slide, and I'm sure that Troy Tulowitzki acknowledged that great effort as he was able to save an at-bat for Tulowitzki and pick up an extra RBI. How about the Blue Jays? They have had 4 sacrifice flies in the last 2 nights.
That might have been the shortest one right there. Out in short right field.
That might have been the shortest one in the season. Kevin Pillar leads things off here in the 3rd. He struck out to end the 1st. High fly ball to left. Brantley, the left fielder, over in the alley, gets there, makes the catch, 1 down.
Boy, that's going to send Terry Francona to the mound. It looks like he's going to have to use every one of those relievers to get through these 9 innings tonight.
Yeah, he wants to make sure he stays within reach of this Blue Jays ball club. It's 5-0. Kyle Crockett, the lone left-hander, into the ball game to face Goins and Tolley. Coming up later on tonight, it all starts at 10 Eastern time after the Blue Jays postgame show on Sportsnet Pacific. How about the Giants and the Dodgers, and what a pitching matchup. Mike Leake goes to the mound for San Francisco, and Clayton Kershaw goes to the mound for the Dodgers. Zach Greinke, the winner last night in the 2-1 Dodgers win. He improved to 15-3 over Madison Bumgarner.
He beat Madison Bumgarner. What a game that was.
Goins goes after the first pitch and lifts it into center. Almonte is there. Kyle Crockett needs 1 pitch to retire Goins.
There are the numbers for Kyle Crockett in 22 games. He is a former 4th-round draft pick back in 2013 by the Cleveland Indians. He spent the whole season pretty much in AAA Columbus. This is his 4th time that he has been back and forth, but spent most of the season in Columbus. He was 3-1 with an ERA around 6. He throws hard from the left side, the only lefty that they have in their pen in this series.
He was called up on the 3rd of August. This is his 14th appearance since that time. He spent time with the Indians in April, June, July, and came back up in August. Josh Tolley singled and scored in the 2nd. Tolley scored on Josh Donaldson's 2-run double. 2 balls and 2 strikes on the Blue Jays catcher. Look out, Josh. Tony spent 4 seasons with the Mets. Overall, he hit .261 in New York. He had his best season in 2011. He had 340 at bats, hit .263. Very difficult to maintain any sort of consistency when you catch once every 5 days.
Yeah, it really hasn't been an everyday guy just yet for his career, but he's done a heck of a job catching R.A. Dickey. Here are the numbers when he was with Buffalo in AAA this season in 45 games. And there was a move, I think, by the Blue Jays that they needed to make.
Fly ball to center field. Almonte hustling back. Makes the catch just shy of the warning track. Crockett comes in and retires the 2 lefties, bottom of the order. We'll go to the 4th. R.A. Dickey has a 5-0 lead. Absolutely, Jamie. What a good outing for Marcus Stroman, and he had 1 walk and 7 strikeouts, and he improved dramatically. 69 pitches. The last time he threw that simulated game, he threw 51 pitches. So the next time out, you figure you give him another 20 pitches, all of a sudden, you know, he's up to 90 pitches.
Up to 90, and that's supposed to be on Monday for Buffalo.
That'll be at Buffalo, and then, oh, by the way, that sets him up to pitch in New York. And don't be surprised if he's pitching against the Yankees in that 4-game series as a starter.
Wouldn't shock me, I'll tell you that. And hats off to Marcus if he can do that and get to the big leagues here in the same season where they thought for sure they wouldn't see him until next spring training.
The only one that thought he could make it back was Marcus. R.A. Dickey back to the top of the order. Kipnis, Lindor, and Brantley. There's the first base hit of the game for the Indians. The first base runner as Kipnis lines one to left.
Swing for the fences and save during the DIY expert sale. Only at Home Building Center and Home Hardware Building Center.
The roof is wide open now. It started with the roof closed. This is the shortstop, Francisco Lindor. He struck out on 3 pitches his first time up.
And he was taken all the way right there. He wanted to track that first pitch from R.A. Dickey.
There's a base hit to right. Back-to-back singles for the Indians to start the 4th.
Well, the whole key to these first 2 at-bats is Arias fallen behind both of them. 2-0 to Kipnis, came with a fastball base hit. He went to 2-0 against Lindor. Now he throws that little sinker that is up, and he rips that one into right field for a base hit. He's got to get that knuckleball over early in the count, jump ahead.
Now Michael Brantley. The Indians with their best power hitters coming up next. Brantley, Santana, and Gomes. They each have double-digit home runs. Brantley, coming into this game over his last 9 games, has 14 hits and 6 ribbies. Back to Dickey. He goes to Tulowitzki at second, back to first. R.A. Dickey, that's the first double play he has started this season. The former Gold Glove winner made a terrific throw to Tulowitzki.
You know, it was the angle I thought that Tulo took to catch that throw. His momentum was coming towards the ball and the bag. Watch how he rounds behind second base. And he catches it and then comes onto the bag, and then his momentum is going over to first base to get Brantley at first. That was a picture-perfect way to turn the double play.
So now Kipnis stands at third with 2 outs. Santana grounded out to short his first time up. That's a base hit to center field. Kipnis comes home. Santana goes after that first pitch and drives in Kipnis. Best 3 hitters in a row, Brantley, Santana, Gomes. Tough RBI guys as Kipnis reaches on the leadoff single and scores on this single by Santana.
It was another high knuckleball that time, and Santana, not really known as a free swinger, goes up there with runners on base and knocks in Kipnis.
Yan Gomes, he grounded out to shortstop. One and two. Gomes strikes out. The Indians are on the board. It's 5-1. Top of the order for the Blue Jays. Ben Revere has been on base twice and scored a pair of runs. Donaldson has 2 hits, 3 ribbies, and 2 runs scored. And Bautista has walked twice. Top of the order coming up next.
market regular season game live or on demand in true HD with MLB.TV Premium. Free-time highlights, live look-ins, pitch tracking, and much more. It also includes a free At Bat 15 subscription. Watch baseball at home, at the office, or on the go. Season-long subscription packages are available. Visit BlueJays.com for more details. And that is some great news on Marcus Stroman, gentlemen.
Boy, it sure is, Barry. And one more step. Goes to Buffalo next time out, September 7th. Next Monday, he'll be in AAA Buffalo. Blue Jays will be in Boston, and don't be surprised if Marcus Stroman shows up at Fenway Park.
We might see him on the road for sure.
5-1 Blue Jays. Ben Revere is 2 for 2 with a stolen base and 2 runs scored. Ground ball, Kipnis to his right. 1 down. Well, Terry Francona, he is fighting for his team's life here in the wild card race, and he's going to make some pitching changes all night long. You can bet on that. The starter, Trevor Bauer, went just an inning and a third. Manship goes an inning. Kyle Crockett gets 3 men out. And now Austin Adams comes into the game to face Josh Donaldson. Adams, he is the 3rd relief pitcher to work for Terry Francona. Crockett goes in inning. And Pat, we might see the entire bullpen tonight if Terry Francona thinks he can keep it close.
And he's going to probably do that. They've got 8 right-hander relievers and a left-hander that they've already used. This is the hard-throwing Austin Adams right there. 2-0-3, 62 earned run average. He was drafted twice in his career. He was selected by the Brewers in the 27th round in June of 2008. Did not sign. Then he was drafted the following year by the Indians in the 5th round to sign. And here he is pitching out of the bullpen. He's been up and down all season long, too, for Terry Francona's team.
Here is Josh Donaldson. He's had a perfect start to his night. He has singled and doubled, driven in 3 runs, scored 2 runs, and had a terrific slide to get an RBI for Troy Tulowitzki. Donaldson, 36 home runs, 111 RBIs, and 100 runs scored. Donaldson becomes one of 5 Blue Jays to accomplish those plateaus. 35 homers, 110 RBIs, and over 100 runs scored. Jose Bautista did it in his great season in 2010. Carlos Delgado has done it 3 times. Sean Green did it in '99, and George Bell did it in his MVP year in '87.
And we might have another MVP year. The numbers that he's been putting up. Plus, it's the way he plays the game.
Boy, isn't it?
And it was evident when he was on the bases last time.
Yeah, and we have seen this time and time again from Donaldson. I mean, he never really takes a play off. We have seen him make great defensive plays, barehanded grabs of balls that are normally gloved by third baseman.
And you know, this time of the year, you're banged up. You're sore. You're tired. But he comes to play. Let's take a look at that sacrifice fly one more time. It's barely into the outfield, but watch Josh Donaldson as the second baseman is backpedaling and backpedaling. He's reading that, and he's hard charging. And then out of the way, and then hits home plate for a sacrifice fly and a run score.
MVP indeed. Stay hot, Josh. Makes a turn around first. He looks at Brantley. He'll stop there. Now he's going to go as Brantley just lobbed it back in. Oh, my. You talk about running the bases with your head up. Donaldson was staring right at Brantley, and when Michael assumed he was going to stop at first, he takes second.
I'll tell you what, if you're watching this game and you're at home, this is how you play the game of baseball right here. He's thinking double all the way. Okay, he comes out of the box and he's going to watch that left fielder, and then Brantley just lobs the ball in, so he just keeps coming. He actually stopped after he rounded first base. Look at him, he's got his head up, he's running hard, watches it, starts to stop, and then says, hey, if you're going to just lay back on me, I'm going to take the extra base on you.
They give Donaldson a double, his second of the night. He's 3 for 3.
And you don't think that rubs off on his players, his teammates, when he's playing this hard every day? Hey, I'm going to get into scoring position.
He's into scoring position for Bautista. I'm telling you what, you're right. It really elevates everybody else's game. Now, Bautista's appreciative of the effort because he's hitting with Donaldson in scoring position as opposed to possibly a double play situation.
Pay attention, and you'll learn how this game is played just watching him night after night.
Donaldson is having the impact on this team that I saw with the Kansas City Royals when Hal McRae came from the Big Red Machine. He plays hard on every play. Another head-first slide. McRae had that sort of impact on the young Royals that led to those championship seasons and ultimately a World Series. Donaldson is the same type of player.
From day one, he's been that type of player.
Bautista called out on strikes.
Backup slider from Austin Adams, and it takes Jose by surprise a little bit. Thought that ball was inside. Yan Gomes framed it up for the strikeout.
You're right, that is a backup slider. He gets underneath that breaking ball and goes in the opposite direction. Edwin Encarnacion is 0 for 1 with a walk. (5-1) Blue Jays. They've out-hit the Indians 7-3. Donaldson is 3 for 3. Revere is 2 for 3. Top of the order.
That's a 98-mile-an-hour fastball, and Edwin took it, saw it all the way.
Well, he's hitting 400 for his last 28 games. He's seeing everything all the way. It's like a beach ball coming up there. That's a hard breaking ball right there. 90 miles an hour. Two balls and a strike, 2 outs. The Yankees beat Boston earlier this afternoon at Fenway Park, 13-8. Masahiro Tanaka improves to 11-6. Henry Owens took the loss. Great swing. Got a piece of it and found it straight back to the screen.
You see him shaking his head just a little bit. He thinks he should have hit that one. That was a hanging slider. Missed his spot. This kid's got some good stuff too. That slider was 91 miles an hour.
A fly ball into center. Almonte comes in and makes the catch. The inning is over. The Blue Jays leave a base runner. They've stranded 5. We'll go to the 5th. Now it's time for Blue Jays Central Update. Here's Jamie Campbell and Greg Zong.
Comfy green chairs in the TD Comfort Zone, and tonight we welcome guests of TD. Meanwhile, over in the Jays Care Community Clubhouse are folks from the Boys and Girls Club of Durham. Lots of kids enjoying the Blue Jays here in September. Buck?
Great opportunity to come out on a gorgeous night, and you can see those kids are having a ball down in the community clubhouse, the Jays Care Community Clubhouse. Up on the 2nd level down there, and been a good night for them, been a good night for the Blue Jays, and a great night for R.A. Dickey. Well, he continues to really throw the ball very well here in the second half of the season.
Jump ahead with that knuckleball. Strike 1 is important.
Strike 2's not bad. 0-2 quickly. Dickey ahead of Lonnie Chisenhall. Chisenhall leading off the 5th. A 3-pitch strikeout. 3 strikeouts for Dickey.
Each one of those knuckleballs a little bit harder. This time he gets that thing to move in the upper parts of the strike zone. Chisenhall comes Up empty. A little bit harder. Tough to get on top of that one.
Chris Johnson, the third baseman, grounded out to third base and is only at bat. R.A. Dickey retired the first 9 to start this ball game. There he throws a slow knuckleball. One and two now. Dickey has 4 strikeouts in the ball game. This is his 7th career start against the Indians. He is 3-2 with a good ERA. Tulowitzki comes in, takes a chest high hop. 2 up, 2 down.
The all-new 2016 Honda Pilot, proud partner and official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays.
Rogers Center has been the place to be. Last night, 41,356. On Monday night, a sellout crowd, 46,000 in attendance. Another good crowd here tonight. You can bet over the weekend against Baltimore. It'll be a packed house once again. The Blue Jays are off tomorrow, but the fans have really jumped on this bandwagon, and why not? The Jays are in first place in September for the first time since '93.
Heard they had some tickets available this morning. They went on sale. Whoop, gone. And everybody's here at the ballpark. It's been a great atmosphere around Rogers Center over the last month or so.
Now Monte pulls it to Goins. R.A. Dickey has a 1-2-3 5th inning. We'll go to the bottom of the 5th. Blue Jays trying to win the series against Cleveland.
'60 Canadian high school amateur baseball players who are eligible for college. Presented by New Era and Roberto Alomar, it's Tournament 12. It goes from the 14th through the 18th right here at Rogers Center. And for tickets, you can go to bluejays.com/T12. A fantastic tournament, Buck. Great way to showcase some of these great young players.
Well, there are more and more great Canadian players getting an opportunity to play down in the States, and then they get a chance to play professional baseball and work their way to the big leagues. Troy Tulowitzki, he played in college and became a very good big league player. Tulowitzki's had a perfect night, due in part to the efforts of his teammate Josh Donaldson. Tulowitzki popped up to the second baseman in the second with the bases loaded, but Donaldson sprinted for home and slid in safely. So Tulowitzki gets a sacrifice fly to the second baseman.
And a big run. I mean, every run in September ends up being a big run.
Good fastball from Adams. But I think we're going to see that firsthand with the Blue Jays playing all these meaningful games in September. The Blue Jays will have the Baltimore Orioles here over the weekend for a 3-game series, then go to Boston for 3, New York for 4, and Atlanta for 3. Tulowitzki gets jammed. Chris Davis throws to first, 1 down. The final homestand of the season for the Blue Jays will start September 18th. Boston for 3, the Yankees in Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, the 21st, 22nd, and 23rd, and then Tampa Bay for the final home stand of the season. Starts the 26th, 27th, and 28th, the 3 games Saturday, Sunday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. On the 25th it starts. Justin Smoke 0 for 2 so far.
A lot of players here for the Blue Jays haven't had the opportunity to play meaningful games in September. There have been a few guys, Tulowitzki and Donaldson and Martin, who have played in the playoffs and in big games in September. That means something.
Off the end of the bat, big hop for Johnson. Smoke's retired.
And the games, Buck, are different in September.
No question about it. Yeah. Everybody wants to knock you off. They want to knock you out of first place, whether it's the Orioles, who are struggling right now, or Tampa Bay, your rivals, of course. You know they want to knock you off. And then the 7 games with the Yankees, those are going to be terrific ball games. But right now, the way the Blue Jays are playing as a team, they're not worried about anybody. They're just going out there playing confident baseball.
That's the right attitude. And I thought when David Price came over here, someone asked him about pressure, pitching in pressure situation. He said, there's enough pressure for the games themselves in September. Let's go out there and have fun and just play the game of baseball. Blue Jays are doing just that. They're having a lot of fun.
There's always a lot of conversation on the bench. Russell Martin and Donaldson, they were the first 2 pieces to this makeover. And that happened in the last off season. These guys have been to the postseason. Russell Martin's been to the postseason 7 times in his 9-year career. Donaldson's been there twice with the Oakland A's. And it's all about getting to the postseason for these guys.
That's why they brought him over here.
Yan Gomes over toward the dugout. He'll run out of room as it bounces into the dugout. Pat, you had the opportunity to play in the postseason. I was fortunate to do the same, and it's just a different animal. Now you're going to have all the major networks coming here. ESPN Radio is here tonight doing the radio broadcast. The Blue Jays and Yankees are going to have a TV broadcast in New York on Saturday when they go there, national broadcast. And the attention's going to be magnified here in the month of September.
That's what it is. Everybody's taking a look at you in the month of September. Everybody's talking about you.
Kevin Pillar chops it towards short. Lindor makes a terrific play. Young shortstop can pick it. So the Blue Jays are done. We head to the 6th, and here comes the Home Hardware Cleanup Crew, brought to you by Natura, Home Hardware's exclusive line of safe, environmentally friendly cleaning products. Stroman pitched his first rehab game tonight in the Midwest League at Lansing. He threw 69 pitches, 4 2/3. Didn't give up a hit, walked only 1 and struck out 7. Now, to complement that line score, Pat Henkin was at the game, and here are his thoughts about Stroman. He said, I thought he looked really good. His pitches had finished. His slider was sharp. He backdoored his breaking ball to lefties, threw some good changeups, and he executed the changeup back-to-back. He said overall he was thrilled by what he saw. Fastball was into the mid-90s, and he expects it to get better the more he pitches. And the most important thing, Henkin said, I didn't think he favored his knee at all.
That's what I was watching when we showed some of the film of him walking off the field. Is he favoring his knee? Is he favoring it? I couldn't tell because I'm not real sure which knee is messed up. And I didn't want to know watching that video, and I couldn't tell myself.
If memory serves, it's his left knee. It's his landing leg.
Well, that's a good thought right there. That if you're not thinking about it, then your arm can work. If you're not thinking about that landing leg.
Well, and the one thing I will take out of that Henkin comment is that Pat Henkin is a former Cy Young Award, and he doesn't just throw around accolades. He's very honest in his evaluations, and if he doesn't think a guy's doing it right, he'll tell you. So that's good news. And the next step, AAA Buffalo.
AAA, maybe get that pitch count up to 90.
There's a liner to right. Bautista on the run. Takes the hit away from Sands. Jose got a terrific read off the bat and broke in immediately.
They call that taking a good route to the baseball, and that's exactly what Jose did. Ball lined to right field by Sands, and it hung up there long enough for Jose to pick it off the turf. And another fine defensive play by a Blue Jay defender. R.A. Dickey appreciates that. Got to get that first batter in the inning.
That's a big play. A one-out situation for Jason Kipnis. He got the first hit of the ball game for Cleveland. Back in the 4th. Came in to score the only run.
This is the pitch he hit last time up, 2-0, a little fastball down and away. He hit it to left field.
Pulls this one to second. Goins goes to his left. Quickly to first. 2 down. The only blemish on the effort tonight by Dickey was in the 4th. Dickey's at first, takes the feed from Smoke. Another 3 up, 3 down inning for R.A. Dickey. When we come back, it'll be the hero from last night's game, Ryan Goins, with a walk-off home run. The first one in his memory. That won it in extras.
Everyday low price of $24.99 a month. Modem rental or purchase required. Ask about our other plans that deliver the fastest internet speeds to the most Canadians. Call 1-888-ROGERS-1 today. Buck?
Thank you very much, Barry, as the Blue Jays and Indians head into the bottom of the sixth, and they continue to march these relief pitchers out here for the Indians.
The fourth reliever of the night for the Cleveland Indians. Trotted out of that bullpen and will take the mound. This is Zach McAllister. He's 27 years old, 6'6", 240 pounds. He's the long man out of that bullpen. He's got good stuff. 3-4 with a 307 earned run average. He's thrown 58 2/3 innings, and he's averaging 11 strikeouts per 9 innings for the Indians. Fifth pitcher of the night for Cleveland.
McAllister has started for Cleveland, and boy, I'll tell you what, they've got some big pitchers on their pitching staff, big, strong guys. We saw Cody Anderson last night, and he had a pretty good outing. He got 2 runs on 3 hits over 6 innings. Brian Goins rained on the Indians parade last night with a 2-run walk-off home run off Brian Shaw. A lot of heat coming out of this Indians bullpen.
He's had 74 strikeouts in those 58 2/3 innings for Cleveland. They've got some guys who can bring it coming out of that pen.
Yeah, the turnaround's not going to take too long for Cleveland. Their bullpen, they are 4th in strikeouts per 9 innings. The Blue Jays are right behind him. They're 5th. Terry Francona's got some athletes to play defense too, and that's certainly a big part of developing a young pitching staff. 96. 1 down. Let's check in with Jamie Campbell. Matt Harvey, another strong outing. He hasn't walked a batter and struck out 8 through 6 innings. And the Mets have skipped Noah Syndergaard, their young starter, making sure that he stays as fresh as possible in his first full season in the big leagues.
We're starting to see that a little bit more with teams in September with their young starters, skipping them or just limiting their innings.
Gavin Floyd. Oh, what a story Gavin Floyd is. Former starting pitcher making his way back, and he's dealt with injuries for the last several seasons, but they're going to use him out of the bullpen, and he is throwing early because they want him to warm up as if he were a starter to make sure they protect him. And Terry Francona, addressing Floyd before the game, said, we owe it to him to be careful with him, given the work he's put in coming back from injuries.
And the injuries that he's had, and he's been pitching as a starter his whole career.
Ball inside on Tolley. One and two to the Blue Jays catcher. Tolley singled and scored his first time up. Bouncing ball up the middle. Lindor behind second, goes to first in time. 2 down. Now the Blue Jays had a terrific month of August, and it's been a familiar theme since the All-Star break.
Best record in the American League. They've put together 30-11. That the Blue Jays have done that. They've been pitching so much better. They've got one of the best earned run averages, whips. They don't walk anybody since that All-Star break. been doing a little bit of everything, and we all know about the offense, but it's been the pitching. I think it's been a key for them.
Blue Jays pitching ranks overall 5th in the American League as a team. They have a 374 earned run average. And Revere hits it sharply, but right to Kipnis on one hop. Zach McAllister has a 1-2-3 6th inning. Will go to the 7th. The Blue Jays holding a 4-run lead over Cleveland. Authority of Rogers Blue Jays baseball partnership and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Rogers Blue Jays baseball partnership. Josh Donaldson with a very busy night. Donaldson is 3 for 3, couple of doubles. He's driven in 3 and scored 2. He's had a terrific night. Blue Jays have a 5-1 lead as R.A. Dickey is set to start the 7th. Middle of the order for Cleveland, Brantley, Santana, and Gomes. R.A. Dickey has allowed just 1 run on 3 hits. Another great outing for Dickey. We mentioned his record since the 18th of July. Coming into this game 6-0 in the previous 9 starts. So fly ball. Ben Revere moves under it, makes the catch.
Swing for the fences and save during the DIY expert sale. Only at Home Building Center and Home Hardware Building Center.
R.A. Dickey is on the verge of putting together his 5th straight 200-inning season. And you can talk about Dickey and how he has hung in there after a tough start. He's 40 years old, and boy, he is going strong to the finish line. You can bet that.
Tonight he figured out the first inning. That was giving him the problems over his last 2 starts. Gave up 5 runs to the Angels, but still won that game when he threw 6 innings. Gave up a run to Detroit on a home run by Kinsler in his last start, but pitched into the 7th inning and won that ball game. Tonight, no problem.
He and Tolley did a good job. They used some fastballs in the first inning, and they were able to retire the side in order. And there's a slower knuckleball, and it gets Santana. 2 outs here in the 7th.
Santana is the only blemish on R.A. Dickey tonight. He had a 2-out RBI single his last time up. This time he's going to take a little something off of it. Look at the arc on that ball. as it comes towards home plate, as he picks up his 5th strikeout. A little bit slower, messing with the timing of Santana.
Jumps ahead of the catcher, Yan Gomes. Gomes, a strikeout victim in the 4th. Ground ball, Tulowitzki. Smoke. 9 pitches for Dickey into 7th. He's on a roll. It'll be Josh Donaldson already 3 for 3. Jose Bautista and Edwin Encarnacion. Honda Pilot, proud partner and official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays.
Driver of the game tonight is going to be Josh Donaldson. He's done a little bit of everything, but this is special right here. All down the left field line, and he's thinking about 2. Michael Brantley gets over there and cuts the ball off, and when he hesitates just a little bit and lobs the ball back in, Josh Donaldson's going to take advantage of that, and he's going to take himself right to second base for a double as he slides safely into second base for our drive of the game. A big heads-up play by Josh Donaldson.
Donaldson has had a terrific night in every aspect of the play. New pitcher for the Cleveland Indians is the former #1 pick of the Philadelphia Phillies in 2001. Gavin Floyd, and he has dealt with a multitude of injuries the last several seasons.
This is his 9th year in the big leagues. There are his numbers last season, 2014, when he was with Atlanta. They just activated him yesterday. He'd been out with a fractured elbow this season. Yeah, you're right. 9 years in the big leagues, and it's been hampered by injuries for the most part.
He was the 4th overall pick in that 2001 draft. He began his career with the Phillies. Josh Donaldson, 3 for 3. Two doubles, a single. He's scored 2 and driven in 3.
You know, you start talking about MVPs as you hear the fans, they were chanting MVP. I think he has raised everybody's bar here this season for the Blue Jays, and if that's not an MVP, I don't know what is. I mean, he's got the great numbers. No doubt about that. You have that. But the other things that he has just brought to this team made everybody better.
He's got 75 extra base hits. That's 11 more than the second American League batter, Brian Dozier. 37 doubles, a triple, 36 home runs. He has scored 2 runs tonight. That gives him 104 runs scored to go along with 111 RBIs. To give you an idea of what kind of season he is putting together, he leads the majors in runs scored, RBIs, and extra base hits. The last time a player led the majors in those 3 categories was 1963. Hank Aaron. And you know what? That's really saying something when you consider the steroid era and all the huge offensive numbers.
Yeah. The 50 home run seasons and the inflated numbers that we saw over that steroid era. Some of those other guys on that list who did that, I mean, a who's who in baseball. Babe Ruth was on that list.
Ted Williams, Mickey Mantle, Babe Ruth, Hank Aaron, and Josh Donaldson. Donaldson's retired. Maybe the play of the night happened in the second inning with the bases loaded.
And he's on third base with less than 2 outs, and he's going to take advantage of Jason Kipnis and score a run. Watch how he eludes the tag of Jan Gomes, and he still can get that left hand on that plate to score that run and get an RBI for his teammate.
Now, because he was safe on the sacrifice fly, Tulowitzki doesn't have an extra at bat. Jose Bautista's walked twice again tonight. He's 0 for 1. Again, the Blue Jays are making the most of their opportunities. They have scored 5 runs on 7 hits. Bautista drills it to left, but Brantley is right there. Hard hit, but right to the left fielder. Gavin Floyd pitched in just 9 games last year for the Atlanta Braves. Spent the majority of his big league time with the Chicago White Sox. 7 seasons in Chicago. Made 168 starts for the White Sox.
He's always had a good arm. I remember seeing him when he was 16 years old pitching a tournament down in Atlanta. I'm like, who is this guy? You could just tell he was going to be a big leaguer. Laying down in that Atlanta area in that Cobb tournament, East Cobb tournament. He's had a good fastball. He's got a good breaking ball too, a sharp curveball. He has just had to fight the injury bug, though, it seems like his whole career.
Another good fastball. The Indians are certainly rich in pitching. And if Floyd can come back to where he was a few years ago with the Chicago White Sox, they will have a surplus. And that's how you get back to prominence. Danny Salazar was terrific in the opener here on Monday night.
Blue Jays miss probably their 2 best starters in this series also.
Corey Kluber and Carlos Carrasco. Kluber, the reigning Cy Young Award winner. Big Cody Anderson, he was impressive as well.
Yeah.
3-2 to Encarnacion. Pulled on the ground. Johnson has it. Lost the diamond offline, but Sands gets back in time to tag first. Blue Jays are done in the bottom of the 7th. Gavin Floyd with a good inning. R.A. Dickey coming back for the 8th.
MLB Live Tracker. Get play-by-play updates, batter zone hit charts, and real-time win percentage. You can get it by clicking on any game matchup on sportsnet.ca/MLB Live Tracker. It's also available through the Sportsnet app, a great way to follow your favorite game. Buck, not a lot of pitches we've had to track from R.A. Dickey today, just 73 through 7.
Mary, the only hiccup for R.A. Dickey came in the 4th inning. And he has been terrific in every other inning. The Indians have gone down in order. 3 up, 3 down in 6 of the 7 innings. The only blemish, a run on 3 hits in the 4th. And R.A. Dickey helped himself out in that inning. He started a 1-6-3 double play.
Yeah, that inning started with a couple of base hits, and then he got the big double play off the bat of Michael Brantley. And then gave up the RBI single by Santana, and that's the last base runner. That was in the 4th inning.
Popped up, playable. Donaldson into foul territory. 1 down here in the 8th. To give you an idea of what kind of second half R.A. Dickey has put together, with a win tonight, Dickey will become the first Blue Jay pitcher to go 7-0 coming out of the All-Star break since Roger Clemens did it in 1998. What a turnaround season for Dickey.
Yeah, that's impressive, and he'll get to 10 wins, another pitcher with double-digit wins. And he'll get to 500.
Owens makes a terrific play to throw out Chris Johnson.
He was shading Johnson up the middle against a knuckleballer R.A. Dickey, and then Dickey acknowledges the great play by Goins. That's him right there at the top of your screen to the right, so he's got a long way to go. Takes his time and accurately throws out the runner at first base. 12 in a row set down by R.A. Dickey, but he'll get to 500. At one point in the season, he was something like 3-10.
He was 3-10 after 18 starts. This is Abraham Almonte. The Troy Hawk is just lobbing the ball behind R.A. Dickey, who's breezing here in the 8th. That last pitch, the 81st pitch for Dickey. he strikes out. Dickey retires the side in the 8th. 13 in a row retired by R.A. Dickey. Will go to the bottom of the 8th. It's 5-1 Blue Jays. Now time for Blue Jays Central up.
Official team shop for your Toronto Blue Jays, bringing together the largest selection of Blue Jays products anywhere. Visit us online at jshop.ca. And Buck, you can see what players have their favorite jerseys and caps to wear during BP. Guys like David Price always wearing the white panel hat, and others wearing those red ones we saw on the weekend. But they are all great-looking hats and shirts.
Lots of merchandise there in the Jays shop, and make sure you check it out. Pick up some new items. This is another pitcher, Sean Armstrong.
Sean Armstrong was just recalled from AAA Columbus yesterday. An impressive season for the Columbus Clippers, who at 1-2 with a236 earned run average. He had 16 saves in 46 appearances and had 80 strikeouts in those 49 2/3 innings. Another big arm for the Cleveland Indians out of their bullpen.
Another homegrown pitcher. He was an 18th rounder out of East Carolina University back in 2011. Troy Tulowitzki. Tulo's had a good night. A couple of RBIs. He now has driven in 13 for the Blue Jays. Trevor Bauer, the starter for Cleveland, went just an inning and a third. He was charged with 5 earned runs on 6 hits through just 44 pitches, and the Blue Jays chased him in the second. The Indians will have tomorrow off. They'll pick things up on Friday night in Detroit against the Tigers. 3-0 to Tulowitzki. Drilled to left field. One hop to Michael Brantley. Tulowitzki 2 for 3 tonight.
The all-new 2016 Honda Pilot, proud partner and official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays. First baseman Justin Smoke.
Another sellout crowd here tonight at Rogers Center, and they're having a blast. 15th sellout of the season. The weekend series against the Orioles, close to sellouts for all 3 days.
And fans are getting revved up for that one. A little wave going tonight. They're getting into it now as we get into latter parts of this game.
Been a long time since we've seen this type of fan reaction here at Rogers Center. Foul ball. Full count, nobody out. Tulowitzki at first.
These are some pretty good at-bats right here from Justin Smoke. Smokey had a big at-bat in last night's game, a big walk in that 7th inning. Allowed the Blue Jays to score a run. This is another good at-bat right here.
Strike 3 called inside corner. Armstrong strikes out Smoke.
Fastball. Little comeback fastball. Smoke was hoping that ball was inside. I don't know if he was looking for something away or something off speed. That's a good fastball right there from Armstrong.
Kevin Pillar for 3 with a strikeout. Sixth relief pitcher to work for the Indians tonight, Sean Armstrong. They've done a good job of keeping the Blue Jays in check. The Jays haven't scored since the 2nd.
Coming into this series, I think we all knew that it was going to be tough. Blue Jays are trying to win this series and then the season series against the Indians with a win tonight. I think everybody around baseball knows how good this pitching staff is for Cleveland.
The Indians pitching staff overall has a 3rd best hits per 9 innings ratio in the American League. They're stingy. And they also have the best strikeout to walk ratio. They can rack up the strikeouts and they don't give up many hits.
Last season out of their bullpen, very underrated. The Cleveland Indians bullpen. They had 440 scoreless relief appearances. That was the most in Major League Baseball, and they're doing it again this year. 440 scoreless relief appearances. Pretty impressive.
Their starters are all under 30, and they're all under control. Two balls, 2 strikes to Pillar. He stays alive. After this game tonight, the Blue Jays will have 12 home games left on their schedule. And you can bet each and every one of them is going to be just like this. Action-packed. Stadium will be packed. Good ball games.
Yeah, the rivals are coming to town. Red Sox, Yankees, Orioles, Rays.
Popped up on the infield. Kipnis, the second baseman, in the baseline, makes the catch. 2 down. A reminder, the Yankees beat the Red Sox 13-8 earlier this afternoon. Now the Blue Jays officially a game ahead of the Yankees. With a win, they'll recapture that half game and will be a game and a half ahead of New York. Both teams, the Blue Jays and the Yankees, off tomorrow. Yankees will welcome in the Tampa Bay Rays to New York. The Baltimore Orioles will be here at Rogers Center on Friday. Way up and away. It's interesting how this offensive attack has shifted all season long. Sometimes it's the top 4, sometimes the middle 3, sometimes the bottom 3. We just never really can predict where the offense is going to come from.
That's what makes it so tough against pitchers, doesn't it? Last night it was Ryan Goins with the walk-off. He was hitting 9th last night. You got to have your core guys. The Blue Jays have their core guys, but you need contributions from everybody if you're going to think about winning.
You have to have a couple of players on your team have career seasons. Josh Donaldson is certainly doing that this year. Bautista and Encarnacion are having seasons that we've become used to. Russell Martin's having one of his best defensive seasons, throwing out base runners and contributing with big hits. And then you've got Pilar and Goins stepping up for the first time. Chris Colabello has been terrific.
How about some of the pitchers?
Career season for Marco Estrada. 11 wins. Osuna has come out of nowhere. Sanchez has developed into a premier shutdown 8th inning pitcher. Brett Cecil's throwing well.
How about
Drew Hutchison has 13
wins.
R.A. Dickey's on the verge of going 10-10. 7 straight wins. Two balls and 2 strikes to the second baseman. In case you're just joining us, Marcus Stroman pitched 4 2/3 tonight in A ball. Lansing threw the ball very well. He had a walk and 7 strikeouts through 69 pitches and had no ill effects. Back up the middle, base hit for Goins. Tulowitzki stops at second. Ryan Goins continues to extend his hit streak. That's 12 straight now for Goins.
Got a little bit long on a couple of his at-bats where he struck out and then hit a fly ball to center field, but he keeps that thing alive just like he did in last night's game when it's last at-bat with a single. Last night it was a home run.
Since August 2nd, Ryan Goins has hit over 320. 2 outs now for the number 9 hitter and catcher Josh Tolley. Tolley has gone 1 for 3, scored a run in the second. Had a single to left. That's a fair ball. Sands will step on the bag. The Blue Jays will leave a pair in the bottom of the 8th. We'll hit to the top of the 9th. R.A. Dickey coming back out to pitch the 9th. The Blue Jays are up 5-1. Win of the season has been great all night long.
Certainly has. He's only had really one bad inning where he gave up that run. Everything else has been 3 up, 3 down. That knuckleball has been moving all over the place. Early in this ball game, he showed a fastball. He's shown a sinker. He's changed speeds with that knuckleball. All told, he has had 6 strikeouts as he pitches into the 9th inning here against Cleveland. Look at those numbers. Just 83 pitches to get through 8 innings tonight.
And no walks. Dickey going for his 7th straight decision as a win. 7 wins in a row. First pitch swinging as Jerry Sands, the first baseman. 1 down. Now for a preview of what's coming up on Sportsnet Central. Here's Ken Reed and Ivanka Osman. Thank you very much, Ken. That's all coming up right after this ball game. Dickey has 1 complete game this season. The Blue Jays as a staff have 6. The leader in the American League, the Cleveland Indians, they've thrown 8 complete games this season. Seattle, Detroit, and Toronto all tied with 6. That's the 2nd most complete games in the American League. Kipnis lines it to left, his 2nd hit of the night. Just the 4th hit for Cleveland.
Same type of hit as his first hit. Now he is 2 for 4. But R.A., he hasn't pitched into the 9th inning since the team was out in Oakland. July the 23rd was the last time he made it into the 9th inning. Trying to put a capper on this one. That base hit stops a streak of 14 in a row set down by R.A.
Francisco Lindor, and just in case, LaTroy Hawkins starting to loosen up. Looks like Mark Lowe's beginning to loosen up right behind him. Lindor may have put the catcher totally on the follow through. Dickey's ahead 0-2.
Kind of knuckleball that he has had tonight. As you see, that ball is tipped by Lindor and then it cracks him in the head on his follow through. But that knuckleball's been so good, they just have not been able to hit it square.
R.A. Dickey has 14 complete games to his credit. Pulled foul. He led the National League in complete games in 2012. His Cy Young season, he had 5 complete games, including 3 shutouts. Carlos Santana drove in the only run for Cleveland with a single with 2 outs in the 4th. Tulowitzki goes to the bag. There's 1, there's 2, there's the ball game. R.A. Dickey with a complete game, 5-1 win. His 7th straight win since the All-Star break, and that evens his season record to 10-10.
Oh, was that knuckleball working tonight for Dickey? Picks up the win. Evens that record. Josh Donaldson, Ben Revere, the big hitting heroes in tonight's ball game. The Blue Jays get that half game back that they lost when the Yankees beat the Red Sox.
John Gibbons Ball Club will have an off day tomorrow. They'll welcome in the Orioles on Friday. The Blue Jays win this series. They take the season series 4-3 over Cleveland. We'll see you tomorrow night. Stay tuned. Here's Sportsnet Central. Ken Reed and Ivanka Osmak. Take it away.